Vicky Cunningham, thanks for doing a small interview while we're down here on site today.
My pleasure.
I always wanted to grab one of ourselves in the marketing industry. Could you tell me a small bit more about your role at Efficio and what it's like marketing in the procurement industry?
So I run the global marketing team here, and so I have team members who are in Germany and the US. We also cover the Middle East and here in London. So I guess procurement marketing is like any other professional services marketing. You're focusing on what are you doing to raise awareness and raise the brand awareness and generate leads in a B2B context. So we are trying to engage with C-suite across large organisations, and I think one of the main linchpins of that is the content that we produce. So we're focused very heavily on creating content which will add value and attract interest from chief procurement officers, CFOs, CEOs, talking to them about the kind of issues that they're facing in their roles, how to make them more effective. And we are lucky here that we have some very good software that we're using to help with that. So in terms of email marketing automation and attribution of our of engagement with our content. So we're doing a lot of work around making sure that our digital channels work well for us through LinkedIn and Twitter, making sure that we can drive visitors and drive engagement through our website to ultimately generate leads and opportunities for our BD team. So ultimately our role is to help to generate the first part of the business proposal funnel.
It sounds like you have a very, very narrow segment kind of made out for yourselves, and you're creating content around that ideal person, and everything else then follows, obviously. So you're going for such a high caliber and high quality lead. It actually makes it a lot easier to create content around that, would I be right in saying?
Yeah, so it's not a sort of, the challenge is to not be scattergun and to think very carefully about who is it you really want to talk to, who are influencing the decisions, who's actually making the decision financially. But then, there's another layer to that, and we also want to, there's a role for us in terms of helping to educate more junior procurement people. And so some of the stuff that we're doing is around building networks to help young procurement professionals to engage and build a network amongst their peers, and to help them understand the challenges that maybe they might face as they try to grow their career in procurement, and try to get them, one, the networking opportunities, and two, some of the insights that they might be finding that the more senior people in their organisations are getting. So we want to start creating networks and connections with people in early stages of their careers too. So
for sure.
It is quite broad.
How would you say, because B2B marketing, it's probably behind, obviously, compared to B2C. It's a bit easier to create content for B2C. But how would you say the power of brand is becoming more prominent in years to come?
Well, I think that sometimes as a marketer it's hard to sell the idea of having a big budget for brand, because it's much harder to track ROI for the money you're spending on brand. But brand is slow burn. And I saw some meme somewhere, and it was marketing is like asking someone on a date, and brand is the reason they say yes. So there's sort of two parts to it. So brand is always going to be important. You have to have a brand awareness. People have to understand who you are and what you represent, and that underpins any other activity that you do. So it becomes, there are trends, and it's more in favour at certain points than others. But brand budget destined to do brand building, brand awareness activity, really vital.
Yeah, what I like about the B2B space is with your marketing, like, brand is great, right, whatever, but you obviously, especially for you guys in professional services, it has to be very ROI driven. And what I like about the B2B space, especially in marketing terms, is that it's a lot easier to measure those efforts compared to B2C. Sometimes in B2C, you lick your finger and, well, maybe it worked, maybe it didn't. You can really see the results in the B2B.
Yeah, you can if you have good software to back it up.
Yeah.
And the sort of spray and pray approach of let's look, here's some content, let's just throw it out, and I'm sure someone will be interested in it. You can't operate like that. That's a hope. That you have to have decent software to be able to attribute where the engagements come from and to drive people along the funnel towards a proper sales opportunity. So yeah, it's much easier to do that with B2B.
Yeah, and like the thing is, I always say to clients is like, okay, what's the purpose? If you kind of know your purpose towards your marketing, it's a lot easier to create around that. And I think that's an area that kind of gets forgotten about. Do you know what is the actual marketing purpose? What is our purpose, and what are we trying to communicate? Because people can put out a blog just to say we put out a blog and make ourselves feel busy, but how effective it is.
Yeah. I mean, no, our purpose ultimately is to help the company generate business opportunities.
Boom.
So we're top of the funnel, and we take people down through the funnel, and then we hand them over to BD or to the principals and the VPs who are owning and managing prospects and relationships. That's our job, to help generate business opportunities.
I love it. It's simple. It's simple. Could you talk to me more? I know you have some digital activations and like do your own publications. Could you talk to me more about that area?
So yeah, within the range of content that we create, so I guess in some ways you can think about the content as being the sort of wind beneath the broader marketing strategy's wings. Yeah. So without the content, we've got nothing to activate. So we have to make sure that we're covering different touch points and creating content and trying to drive engagement with different forms of media. And some people respond well to a white paper, some people just like a quick checklist, some people like a little short video clip. So we're trying to balance what we're doing, making sure that we're creating different types of content that will appeal to different audiences, and to different sort of I guess people are neurally wired differently. So people respond to different things, but we also have make a point of doing some flagship stuff that we would drive as a big annual campaign. So for example, we just published our annual magazine, The Source, and this is driven the second year that we are doing this purely as a digital magazine. It used to be print.
Do you put media spend behind that and go into different publications?
Yeah, so with all of our content, we put spend behind it in terms of doing Google ads so that we can retarget people, in terms of sponsored content through LinkedIn. And again, some of that's more generic and some of that's very targeted to certain industries or certain geographies. And we do sort of tweak our content and translate it also. And that clearly we're a global organisation, so we'll pick key markets where we are going to translate flagship content and drive that through SEO, through Google ads, through sponsored social.
Do you do any newsletter advertising? Because I know a lot of B2B companies see success with that. There's a lot of good B2B media companies. I know I was talking to your colleague Tina earlier about Industry Dive, where it has about 20 different publications. I think one of them is procurement. I might be wrong, but do you utilise those type of publications that are heavy, kind of vertical focused?
So yeah, and we tend not to do paid media outreach, but as part of our PR strategy, we will have a target list of publications that we're looking to get opportunities with, and we have great success in getting articles with bylines by our practitioners, getting those placed in procurement specific publications or CFO targeted publications. Also we'll look at partner channels that are professional associations, or a lot of our business comes from private equity funds, so we'll look at how we can try and raise our brand awareness through getting getting some profile in PE focused, whether that's a PE focused conference. Tends to be less publications, but there are sources.
We probably don't have much left, say about 10 minutes. No, we've probably about 10 minutes done nearly. Could you tell me a small bit about your plans for 2022 and maybe other stuff that's happening? Or are we allowed to tell
deep secret. If I told you, I'd have to kill you. You sign an NDA.
Yeah.
No. So a lot of what we're doing, there's some business as usual stuff, but we're looking at what the business's strategic agenda is for the next year, and we obviously have to match our marketing strategy to support what the business is trying to achieve. But then we're listening always through the people who are closest to our clients and prospects, and as well as listening to what's going on in the market and trying to identify what are the key themes, what are keeping people awake.
Engineering what's being said in the market.
Yeah, so big subject and a big issue for every company is what they're doing around sustainability and ESG, and those that comes into play in procurement as well. So are we addressing, are we creating content which is different and resonates for our target audience on that sort of theme? Sustainable supply chains falls within that. So clearly there's a space for us to offer insights. There are ongoing challenges around digital transformation and how technology, for us a big thing is what's the role of technology in procurement, and we have our own approach to sort of technology-enabled procurement, and that's going to get a bigger focus over time. What's our future service delivery look like, and how are we leveraging technology to do that, and how can that make a difference in the market and set us apart from our competitors? So that's going to be a big focus.
Brilliant. Vicky
year.
Cunningham, that's it. Thanks a lot.